welcome into the Coast Class Podcast, episode number 5 or 6. I'm not sure which one it is. But today we're talking about a topical issue that's important, and it's to do with Black lives in America, and more importantly, the George Floyd incident that happened in Minneapolis on Monday, where a policeman murdered a black man who was unarmed. So yeah, we're just going to discuss that and race relations in America and how you can improve it in Britain or wherever you're watching this, because realistically it's a problem throughout the whole of the world. More societal issue in America, but across the whole world it's still an issue. So yeah, Keith, do you want to take it away and tell us about what happened on Monday?
So I'm sure everyone saw the video, and it was retweeted and everything like that. It was basically a white male policeman who handcuffed George Floyd. Obviously, I think he was trying to arrest him for some kind of, I think it was forgery or something. He arrested him, and I don't know if you saw the video from beforehand, like before the actual video that went out everywhere. He was barely resisting. I think the only thing he was resisting is his arrest. Like his arms were so tightly like fastened, and that he couldn't get up, and he fell to the ground. So obviously they just assumed he was trying to resist arrest. And I watched this thing not long ago. It came out in 2016. It was just something to do with when police stop you in your car and the things that happen. And it just reminded me of that video and how relevant it is today. It was made in 2016. So the policeman basically just kneeled on his neck until he literally suffocated to death. And the 3 words that he was saying, I can't breathe, you heard that so you could just hear that with so much he's just trying to get
passion in his voice. And when he started screaming for his mum, that was
mum, that killed you. It's when you see your life just flash in front of your eyes, everything. It's who that's the passion there. Who thinks of their mum in situations do you know what I mean?
You think of things that are really important to you. And obviously to him and to everyone, it was just his mum.
And he knew come on, you don't just shout your mum unless you know something's gonna happen.
He's a grown man saying going please mama, help me mama, help me. And it's just
he knew the outcome that was coming.
Because you only call for that when you're older, when you're close to death, really, because that's the only person that really matters. And just hearing that, I didn't cry, but I felt like tears were coming because it was just a horrible video. And if anyone hasn't seen it, don't watch it because it's very, very distressing.
It gives you goosebumps, and yes, it's distressing, but I feel I think this is, obviously we've saw Eric Garner, we've saw the Ahmed Aubrey one, where he just got shot not even long ago.
It's the second time in a month that there's been a police killing.
But this isn't even the point. I feel the main point is that it's happened 2 times in a month, and people are easy to forget about Ahmed Aubrey. Come on, we don't want to beat around the bush. People forgot about. Do you get what I'm trying to say?
For me, I only saw photos of him. The first time I really started learning about what happened to him was when I was researching for this podcast, and I heard about Eric Garner when he got killed he was unarmed in 2014 by the NYPD.
Exactly the same situation. And he said, "I can't breathe."
Yeah, literally. And now, in all the protests, all you hear is, "I can't breathe, I can't breathe, I can't breathe," and This gonna create really huge problems, and especially during COVID, you don't really want this to happen. And
it should never happen during COVID. It's 2 different parallels that have just been collided together. Do you get what I'm trying to say? It's 2 different parallels, 2 big problems that the world is facing right now, and neither of them are getting solved, but instead both of them are getting put together. Think about it. The protests are literally they're going against the COVID-19 thing, and they're killing even more people, and and it's the protests are the right thing to do right now, and it shows the problem's bigger than just COVID-19. This is the epidemic that people worry about. This is the pandemic that people are worried about.
In America, it's been I don't know there was a reporter who described it as racism was just like an underbelly that's just simmering under the surface of America, and people just go through life and they don't think about it, but everybody knows it's there. In the 2016 elections, racism was the thing that and bigotry was the thing that won Donald Trump to be the most powerful man in the world,
The far
essentially.
right.
And it shows how crazy like racism has got, and it needs to be addressed. It really does.
Well, there's a rise of the far right, and there's reasons for it. And like the main reason for that is that the people that are the so-called liberals or the so-called Democrats and the so-called middleman, where they're not too far left and they're not too far right, they've failed. Do you get what I'm trying to say? So there's only like one way that people win this now, and that's the rise of the far right. Do you get what I'm trying to say? Or the rise of the far left. Think about it nowadays. There's no in between, and we can say as much as we want we're in between, but let's be real. Like there is no in between anymore.
Yeah,
and that's the sad thing. And I'm not fussed about the far right, because these people are just showing their colors. They've always been like that, and that's not the problem. My problem is that the people that aren't that aren't racist, or that they aren't the far right, they're not doing their part. It just makes them accountable. Like, I feel like people need to start taking more account into what they're doing, what they're saying, and it's not about what they're saying or what they're doing. It's about what they're not doing. Do you get what I'm trying to say?
It's like people say like, "Oh, I'm not racist. Oh, I don't do anything. I don't do anything." And it's like. And I was saying this to you before, just before the podcast started, the only way you change people's belief and you change a culture and you change a mentality is by actually doing stuff to change people's lives. Like these billionaires like Jeff Bezos, Warren Buffett, Elon Musk, they've done stuff, they've innovated, they've created things, they've changed people's lives. And before then, you would just be like, oh, let's just dawdle our way through life. And now life is so much better because of it. So why can't we now like do stuff to go out of our way to stop racism? Racism has been a problem in America. Like it's been a problem elsewhere in the world, in the UK as well, but mostly in America. Over the last 50 years, it's still a problem. Like everyone thought, oh, it's gone in the 60s, but that sort of mentality is still there. And the only way you change mentality is everybody going against that mentality. So like before they were against homosexuality, but then the rise of like the LGBT community and that being instated into like government, instated into communities, and now a lot of people are like for LGBT where before they weren't and before they thought they wouldn't be. So why can't we do that now by going out of our way to be like, okay, we're not racist and we'll condemn anyone that is white, black, brown, anybody who is racist or is discriminating in any way, we'll shoot them down. And by doing that, that'll just get rid of this mentality. Obviously it will take time, but people need to do more to stop racism rather than just stay there and not be racist. You know what I mean?
There's an expectancy of like not being racist, and that's not even an expectancy. That's just your moral value. Like, I can't hate on another human because morally, for me, it's like, I can't hate another human for their race, for their color, for this and that. I can't hate them because I see like, and that's the thing, right? You think about it so much, right? And like, yes, anyone can be racist to anyone, but I don't know what, like, how like white people hate me when they like, some white people, there's racist white people, and they hate on a black person before they even see them.
Yeah.
I don't
they all have like ingrained something in their mentality,
exactly.
Stereotypes in their mentality.
And it's like, where's that, like, how is that not reciprocal?
Yeah.
Do you get what I'm trying to say? How is it like when I see a white woman or a white man, I'm not like, of course I'm thinking, oh, they might be racist. But that's got nothing to do with their color. I'm not stereotyping them.
Yeah.
I'm not stereotyping with anything. They've got a bigger chance of being racist against me than I have against them. And I'm not being racist. I'm not like trying to discriminate them or anything like that. I've just got a thought in my head like, why? What if they are racist?
Like this sort of discrimination, it doesn't make any sense, right? Because if you think about it, like this is my way of destroying discrimination. Everybody has their own life story. Everybody's had their own experiences. They've had their own childhood. They've had different things happen to them. They might have joined a different sports team. They might have like had a different relationship with their parents, like all these different things, right? Because everybody is so different. Everybody's having a different lifestyle. How can you discriminate them for like the color of their skin or like just something that would put them into a group of like an ethnicity or like a Muslim or like, oh, he's a Jew or he's white, he's black or whatever? How could you discriminate when everybody's life story is completely different? So nobody is the same. Nobody, like, we might have similar traits and similar characteristics, but nobody is the same. So why would you discriminate or like not give somebody a job because they're black? Like, bro, nobody is the same. Everyone's had different life stories. So why would you discriminate them for just something that a load of other people might have, like a skin type or skin color or a condition or whatever?
It can't be expected. It can't be accepted of him to just walk down and
Yeah.
like, you know, not have a gun on them or not do this and not do that. Do you get what I'm trying to say?
And indeed, the like consequence of these stereotypes is like, so like one stereotype is like, oh, if you see like like I'm not being racist, but a stereotype would be like, oh, if you see a black guy down an alley, then like don't go down that alley because I don't know, like they'll stab you or something like that, right? If you think like that, right, and these black people, they see people doing that and thinking like this, why, like, you're just feeding into them doing that, going into that narrative. Obviously, like, they have a choice whether they do right or wrong, right? But if you're a black person, people are avoiding you just because of the color of your skin, not because of the personality that you have, right? You're just going to feed into that narrative, have hate yourself for those people who are hating on you, and then we're just going to get in a society where we just all hate each other. But like, obviously, like, we're never going to be in like a peace, like keep it right, like 100% like cool with everyone. But like, if you're racist, you're feeding into a narrative not only for yourself, right, where you have to avoid more things, but those people who you're like hating on and discriminating against are going to feed into that narrative, and we're like never going to get anywhere. And the only way we can do that is by real change, whatever change that may be. Like, I'm not saying I'm an innovator, but we need to change as a society in order to improve and go
And it's
forward.
not like, it's not about one person, and it's not about
Yeah.
one person, because we've had that one person.
Yeah.
Like, I've said it multiple times. Like, we've had Martin Luther King, we've had, like, you know, Malcolm X, we've had so many people that are leading the line, and it just shows that, like, you know, these people that have done such mad things for the world, it's like even they couldn't stop.
Yeah, and this was like 50 years ago.
And this is only exactly, and not even long ago, Nelson Mandela. Do you get what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
That's not that long ago. Well,
Yeah.
Like, what, 30 years ago, 1980s or something, 1990s, I think, even. That's when he
But
came out of jail. And it's like, it just shows that it's not to do with the one person. It's to do with like the individual society and what you're accountable for. Because right now, everyone's accountable for this.
Yeah.
Everyone's accountable for this.
For the George Floyd.
For the George, because except the people of color, like except except black people, because they're the victims. Do you get what I'm trying to say? But me, you, the white person, the brown person, like, you know, any type of race, any type of color, you're all accountable for this.
Yeah, well, I would put a caveat and be like, we're not obviously you're not directly like
not directly accountable.
You're not directly accountable
for
for
the change that you can make.
Yeah. Like, you're not directly accountable for it, but like, you need to do more so that this sort of thing doesn't happen in the future. Because the only way it changes is if society changes. Because like, what I think about is like when Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, like when all these people like came up and did all like amazing things, in my opinion, did amazing things for society, so that we can move forward in our like mentality and things like that, right? A lot of their following would literally just be one ethnicity, and I feel like other ethnic, like say like Martin Luther King was standing up for black rights and black civil rights and things like that, and then the white people were attacking Martin Luther King for that, and then he got assassinated, right? Yeah. So like, that's an example of like the black people hopped on to Martin Luther King because he was like an icon, and obviously there'll be some like white, like of other ethnicities that backed him, right? But like, you see that there was still opposition. There's still opposition to people trying to make real change for things that shouldn't even be there in the like in the first place, you know what I mean? And the only way that changes is if one, like that whole generation dies, which obviously nobody wants that to happen, right? Or if we change the way we believe. So that's why when you say like, oh, we're accountable for this, we are, because we need to do more to change mentality, because the only way we move forward from societal issues towards discrimination is by a change in mentality. And obviously now we're seeing improvements, and inshallah we see it for the next 10, 20, 30 years. But like, we need to do more consciously, not just subconsciously, consciously.
I think, like, you know, this is my one worry. Like, yes, everyone saw it and everyone's retweeting, and like, you know, the majority of people are retweeting, but you know, there's obviously, you know, the people that are retweeting and the people that are trying to spread awareness and this and that. Yes, they're doing their bit, right?
Yeah.
But we forget that there's still people that still have that mindset. Do you get what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
And it's about going for them. Like, you know, if there's this
trying to appeal to them, because like,
because they don't need no appeal.
No. They do, because if those people that you think aren't doing enough now, right? The only way you do that, you can't just directly like shout at them and be like, oh, you have to post this, you have to do that, I have to do this. It has to come from themselves. So you need to appeal to them to make it worth their while, to prove to them that the world is a better place, and their world is a better place if we all get along and we all don't have such silly mentality towards issues.
This is a problem. Like, this is like facts, right? when Malcolm X said his when he was involved in like all this racism and this and that, he couldn't tell a white person, like that's why I always say, right, and I say this like you know I say that's why we've got more accountability and we've got more responsibility to do it, because if a black person does it, yes, it's one thing and they can say so much, but how are they going to appeal to the person that's racist to them?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and I've said that before as well, like the oppressed, how can the oppressed be fighting the oppressor? Do you get what I'm
Yeah,
trying to say? You can't fight the oppressor because of that. So that's why I always say, like, we won't be able to, we can only make an influence to our kind of people. And that's
yeah.
why I say when white people do have to take more responsibility, tell their families, tell their grandparents, tell their uncles,
Yeah,
tell their
like
nieces.
like
And
draw them out, draw them out.
you have to. You have to,
Yeah,
because this isn't like an if or a but or a maybe between like everything, like each person. Like this isn't like a small thing. This is like morals. It's like if someone's died here, someone's got
yeah,
murdered,
literally.
someone's got
Somebody
murdered.
got murdered for no reason.
It's murder, and people
Yeah,
don't understand. Like murder's always been morally wrong. Like we've got a moral acceptance in our body, right, and like a moral compass, and that compass, every person in the whole world knows murder's wrong, and and that's it. Like there's no opinions in this shit.
yeah, like essentially in America, what is like one of the, I'm not sure, they're like one of the few countries, I'm not sure about the rest of the world, but they're one of the few advanced countries that still has the death penalty for things like murder, for things like rape, for the most heinous crimes humans can do. They've got these sort of like capital punishments in where most other advanced countries don't, right? So it shows that there is like a hate for people who, and there's accountability in the U.S. justice system for people who do the most heinous crimes. But there's nothing really stopping them from doing it in the first place. Like in 2019, there was 1,004 police brutality killings in 2019. 28% of them were of black people. Bearing in mind, only 14% of the whole US population is black, which is absolutely mental. That like the double the amount of blacks in America were involved in police brutality killings, which shows one, a systemic issue within the police department, within the whole of the US, right? It's more in certain places, it's like big places like New York and places like that. But also, what I would have to say is that it's just been an underbelly in America for
Yeah.
so long, and the new government is, I would say, is doing okay, but they have to do more. Like for example, the mayor, the day straight after George Floyd died, like the mayor of Minneapolis could have just been like, oh yeah, it was really sad what happened, like prayers out for his family. But he literally went with his whole chest and were like, yeah, that policeman should be behind bars. If me or you did it, we would behind bars. We would be behind bars. It doesn't matter if he's got a uniform on. He should be behind bars right now. And I rate the fact that he went like a straight direct, and like that could have really big repercussions for him with like the white community, that like he's going for one of their own. But the rest of America needs to like follow that as well. So like in government, Donald Trump said started talking about the protesters more than the actual incident, and he was like, oh yeah, protesters should have been tear gassed. Like you're if your own, like everyone knows Donald Trump is a bit cracked in the head, right? But if your own president,
Oh,
the leader of the free world, is more involved in tear gassing protesters, protesting a real issue, right, then there is a true problem in America. And my question to you, Sakif, is if you're in America, how can race relations improve over the next 10, 20, 30 years?
I'm gonna say this now, and I don't care if the kind of opinions involved in this. Yeah, I can I know it's a big word to put about like calling a person racist or calling a person, but the leader of that country, well, I'll say this with my chest.
The leader of the free world.
He's got the biggest country in his hand, right? And I'm gonna say this with my chest. He's a racist.
Yeah, he is.
He's a racist. How do you expect you know that officer that killed him? Like
Yeah.
not long ago he was wearing a "Make America White Again" cap.
Yeah, Derek
Not
Derek Chauvin. Yeah,
He
Derek
wasn't
Chauvin.
wearing a "Make America Great Again,"
Yeah.
and he was wearing a "Make America White Again" cap. And the worst part is Donald Trump would have loved that.
Yeah.
He would have loved that. That's free promotion on him. You know
Yeah.
what I'm trying to say? This
I know,
guy
and
said,
it's what he wants. Make America great again. Obviously, that doesn't sound as bad as Make America white again, which is essentially what he wanted.
that's what he wants, and that's the core problem, right? And furthermore, I've said this I don't know how many times. Yeah, it doesn't make a difference if it's if you've got Obama in charge or if you've got like Trump in charge, like of course Trump in charge makes it worse. And I don't care when people are bringing me stats up saying, "Oh, police brutality crimes have lessened because Trump's in charge." Don't give Trump that kind of applaud. Do you know what I'm trying to say? He's not done any police brutality stats should always be low, especially when it's race related.
Donald
Right?
Trump literally 2013 put out a tweet saying, I have the tweet up now if you're watching on YouTube, but he literally put a tweet out where a fake tweet, he put out a fake tweet. He wasn't a president at the time, but he put out a fake tweet saying like whites versus whites, like 0 kills or like very low kills. And then blacks versus whites or black versus like the other ethnicities was like so high. And these numbers were so fake, right? And it was crazy that this guy 3 years later is like putting his hand on the Bible saying like, oh, I'll save this country, like really, really good and well. And it's crazy how this guy who makes up fake stats, makes up fake tweets, is in charge of this country. And if you have that mentality at the very top, there's going to be no change. There's going to be like no force for change, really.
And like this might be a bit off topic, right? But this guy is so active on like, socials, right? When we have social media and we have Twitter, our views are echo chambered in our feeds, yeah?
Yeah.
It's echo chambered in our feeds. So what we believe, so if I believe in like, fight it, like, if I'm a Labour supporter, I'll only see Labour tweets, or I'll only see Labour supporting tweets.
Yeah.
That's what echo chamber is. So that's why, that's why a lot of students were shocked when the Conservatives won, or because like they don't see a lot of that. Do you get what I'm trying to say? That's how echo chambering works. This works through cookies and things like that. You think about Donald Trump and you think about his tweets and what he's saying and how he believes. You can just see what's echo chambered in around him, his life, his social media, his platform, everything in that's echo chambered around him. You can just tell there's a bit of discrimination in there. Like since the first law that he put through, I don't know what law it was, but like if it was the first or the second or the third, one of them was like it was like something to do with race, like he put a travel ban on. You get me?
Yeah. It's crazy how like you're not going to see change with somebody like him in charge.
You can't.
But like hopefully if Bernie Sanders in 2020, Bernie Sanders or Joe Biden, if they hold up that Democratic flag, more for me, even though I'm a student, I would say Bernie Sanders. Like Bernie Sanders holds up that torch and wins the US election in 2020, then that'll be a big win. And hopefully like he'll be a force for change, because he's been a force for change in Vermont for like the last 20-30 years, being part of Congress, being part of Senate, being a part of all of that. But more on this actual because we haven't really touched on the George Floyd thing. But what I found crazy was I watched a video of the CCTV footage where he was getting taken out of his SUV, and he went up the sidewalk and over the road, and then next to another car about like 30-40 feet away, he was like on the ground, and that's where obviously it happened. He literally, on the police report, it said he physically resisted officers and he was suffering from medical distress, and the CCTV footage disproved that completely. Right. And if the police are lying about it to cover one of their own, like they did for the NYPD officer in 2014 who killed Eric Garner, right? That is mental. The people who are supposed to be saving you and protecting you, like we can talk about, oh, we need to do more. I need to do more. Like my dad needs to do more. Like our friends need to do more. The actual people who are put in charge in America to look after society are covering their own backs, thinking of themselves, and have a cultural problem within their mind where it's like, this sounds very blasphemous, but they just hate black people. Not on the whole, but this is a prejudice against black people. And that needs to change.
And I don't like pretend acting like there's eggshells around like this topic. Be direct with it. Be radical.
Yeah. Like
be radical against standing up. Like people are so easy to be a far right or a far left. Be a far anti-racist. You get what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
Just start like going for them people. I'm not saying hit them and do this and direct them and this and that. I'm not saying that. I'm saying go for them where, tell them straight up, like, this is wrong.
because going for it basically means, when we say going for it, we mean we need to change people's
We need to
mentality.
change
Doesn't
it.
mean like go hit them, doesn't mean go be
And
violent, because
that's it.
we're not
Like,
condoning that.
you know,
It's just we need to change mentalities, and you have to do everything you can consciously to try and change your mentality first, and then the people around you, because that's the only way it's going to work if we're all in it together.
and like, I don't know if you saw like the riots obviously that have happened, and like you
Yeah.
can just see from the tweets that he's saying, right? Donald Trump, the tweets that he's saying, where he said, when the looting starts, the shooting starts.
Yeah,
But I
that's
don't think people deep
mental.
that, you know.
That's
I don't
absolutely
think people
crazy.
deep that.
Bro, when I saw that, I was literally just like, this is the pitch. This is the pitch.
Bro, this is something, bro. You can't be normal to say that.
Yeah. That's literally.
How is that normal?
If you're saying that, right, and then going like, if you're the president saying that and then saying to your police officers, oh yeah, don't be violent, like don't use your guns and stuff, why the flip are they gonna listen to you saying don't be violent if you yourself are saying,
You're
okay,
the
well, if they start
president.
looting, then we're gonna start shooting them?
You're the president, and you're saying that, right? And you know what's more worrying is that you look at the likes and the retweets he got on that, right? And you look at that, and you just see, look, a lot of these people might not be like in that country and this and that, but it just shows he has an influence.
Yeah.
He has a big influence all around the world.
Well, yeah, he's the most powerful man in the world.
The most powerful man in the world, and he's got that influence. And he just said, when the looting starts, the shooting starts.
Yeah, inshallah, he doesn't get put back into presidency in
it's not
the end of
about
this
like, you know, this guy. How is this? It's just crazy. And
yeah,
like,
to be, it baffles me really. But America, I really like America because it's so like extreme for everything it does, like entertainment, sports, like the way they react to stuff. I love how like crazy it is, like the presidential debates. But the way they handle these sort of race issues, which have been a problem for 50 years, is just not on. And the only way you're going to change that by consciously going out your way to change mentalities, and that's the only way forward, really. And if your president's not going to do that, then you just have to like not wait, but like enforce change yourself, really.
And like the thing is, right? Yeah, you can expect like arrests for looting, and you can expect that. Like, do you know what I mean? There's laws, right? There's laws, and no one's arguing laws. No one's arguing, yo, like, you know, if this guy's stealing from a shop while there's riots, like, and this is the worst part, right? And it's not like a dig at anyone, but when you're like, you know, when there's protests happening and you're looting a shop, and that person might be black who owns that shop, and you're looting that shop, it just shows you don't really care about this, and that's it, right? You don't really care about this topic that was going on, and for that I accept, like, yo, they deserve arrest. But when people are getting tear gassed for, you know, just shouting at the police and this and that, that annoys me, because that is white privilege to a T.
Bro, it literally, is it the Fifth Amendment or the Third Amendment? I'm not sure which amendment, but which literally says free, like everyone has the right for freedom of speech. They have the right for freedom of speech, but if they start shouting at police officers, then you don't have freedom for speech. That is literally going against their own constitution, which they bang on about all the time, which is just absolutely mental.
The constitution is a white privilege constitution. The constitution, like, you saw it not long ago when there was a protest against against COVID-19 in America, about the lockdown in America. There was a protest going on.
We're literally shouting is going to spread the disease, and there was no tear gas.
Like, you're literally contradicting your whole protest. You get what I'm saying? And you're not even in lockdown. How are you in lockdown if you're protesting outside? You're not in lockdown. So when they were shouting at the police, and I don't know if you saw the videos, like there was like, I saw people going in front of police, shouting at them, shouting at nurses, shouting at this and that. They're screaming in their faces. What, they don't get no tear gas? I'm not saying they deserve to get tear gas, because I'm just saying, like, you know, where's the energy there? You get what I'm saying? It's one rule. It's because, like, you know, you can just tell there was
one rule for one rule for another.
And it's not even like, you know who made the rules.
Yeah.
You know, there's a system. It's a systematic, like, you know, it's systematic racism, because at the end of the day, you know, before the policemen all go out saying, and like, you know, the commander or the captain or I don't know, the sergeant, whatever they call it over there, when they're like saying, okay, this is what's going to happen and that's going to happen, this is what's going to happen, they're going to 100% say, well, if anyone starts taking a strike or starts shouting in your faces, make sure to, like, you know, like, move them away, make sure to restrain them, make sure to, like, you know, get active, don't be scared to get active. That's what happens. That's the honest truth. And it's like, you know, you might not want to believe it, and you might not be like, oh, it's this is too much of a conspiracy. There's no conspiracies in this.
Yeah.
Racism is a very active thing, and you need to expect the worst. Like, stop trying to sugarcoat it or anything like that. This is the worst part, like, of humanity. Do you get what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, like thing is, people need to understand that you can only control what you do, right? So you can complain about the police, you can complain about the government, but like it all start like the only thing you can do is control what you're doing. So and what we're saying for you to do is to prove that you're not prove that you're not racist, but to try and stop other people from being racist and stop that sort of culture where people think it's okay to be racist and use that as like a form of hate. So that's what you can do, right? But like I would say, like the police in America is crazy because when in 2014, Eric Garner, after 5 years, the man who killed Eric Garner, the police officer who murdered Eric Garner, after 5 years, he was on the police force for 5 more years. Let me just keep that in your mind. 5 years after the incident. And then he finally got sacked. And the whole point was not, oh, rest in peace, Eric Garner. It was like, oh, the NYPD had to make such a big decision. Brother, if you killed somebody, if I killed somebody, if you killed somebody, then it's not a big issue. But because the police officer is killing somebody and he had a great relationship with people at work, mate, my dad has a great relationship with people at work. But if he goes and kills somebody, that relationship's gone. Like,
you've got a duty there.
Yeah, you've got a duty of care to the people that you're looking after, especially as a police officer, which is absolutely mental. It's just a problem within the police.
I don't understand. Like, I don't know the years for like third-degree murder because obviously that's what you got charged for.
That in itself is just like absolutely.
What do you get for that? Like, what do you get for third degree?
I'm not sure exactly what you get, but you don't get like, I don't think you get life sentence. I think it's like, I'm not sure exactly about like the law in wherever, I'm not sure what state it is, but basically like it's saying it's third degree murder says it's not premeditated.
Yeah, it means
it's not premeditated. What's his name? George Floyd said, I can't breathe 11 times. Not once, not twice, not 3 times, 11 times. And you're saying that's not premeditated murder. And I'm so glad those 4 police officers involved, the Chinese guy, the Derek Chauvin, and 2 other men were dismissed straight away. And Derek Chauvin,
they're just as accountable.
Yeah.
People forget, right? Being a person of color does not mean you can't be racist.
Yeah.
You know, especially like to black people. And I've emphasized it for like, I don't know how many times, right? Like, and I've just said it before, like, it's our duty just as much as theirs. Like, you know, black people, and this is why Black Lives Matters, right? It's not about all lives matter because, like, I've said it already. Black lives matter more than, like, anyone's right now because in this situation, they're getting the most, like they're dying right now. Do you get what I'm trying to say?
Yeah. They need the most help in getting getting the rights they're like liable, like they should have. You know what I mean?
And I know people say like, yeah, what about the murders in like China? What about like the killings in Palestine? What about the killings in like, you know, even Pakistan, like India? But you think about like, you know, them killings and like, yes, we need to do our bit for that as well, right? But right now, this situation with George Floyd, it's hit the world. So right now in the world, like, you know, let's tackle this issue, as like everyone tackles this issue. And then like surely the issues that follow after this, they'll be tackled as well. Because explicit one.
Yeah, because if this happens once, right, people are like, oh, why didn't you do this for Ahmaud Arbery? Why didn't you do this for Eric Garner? Why didn't you do this for the 1,000 people that died last year due to police brutality? Inshallah, if we all change as a society, these incidents become few and far between, and they don't become accepted. And we'll have these sort of podcasts more where for each specific incident. Hopefully, there's like one a year or none a year. Like we want none a year, but we'll do one for every incident because we hope that the incidents go right down. And once it goes down, then it becomes less of a problem and more of just an incident. You know what I mean? But now we're talking about it as a systemic problem within the police department. Within a problem within the police department, within the government, and within America itself. And once that changes, once mentality changes, then you'll be fine. But getting to that point, you need to do everything you can, really and truly.
Like, what do you really think about like the UK in this situation? Because obviously, where we're living, this is where it's gonna probably hit the most. What are you thinking?
I think things do happen. It's like things do happen in the UK. People need to not forget that it's not all America. It's not all America. Like you said, there's problems with the Uyghur Muslims in Brunei. There's problems with China. There's problems in Pakistan. There's problems in India. It just highlights a problem that we need to as a society, we need to realize that we're not all here for ourselves. We're here for 80 years, like on average, and we're not here for ourselves. We need to make sure that we're doing what we can to make our lives better, our family lives better, and then everybody in the community and within the world. And if we all try to have that mentality and have that mindset, inshallah, it'll become a better place. But will that happen? Probably not. But you can only do what you can do, and you shouldn't get violent or do stupid things to make other people do, because that's not going to change mentality. That's just going to change an action in one instance.
Yeah,
that's what I think. But yeah, we're going to wrap it up there. Thanks for listening, and obviously do everything you can to fight racism, and yeah, hope you enjoy the podcast.